It's good to have you here in person.
Thank you very much.
You're working just a few blocks away.
Yes, in a Broadway theater. Actually, I learned recently, and tell me if this is true, you directed Lin-Manuel Miranda's
first musical.
In high school.
Yes, as a senior in high school.
You were his director.
I was his director. I brought to life the
man
vision.
who gave us Hamilton.
That's right.
You were his first director. That's impossible.
I know. It was an amazing. Actually, it's funny. I can still hum the tunes of that show, which was a 20-minute musical that featured a maniacal fetal pig in a nightmare that he had cut up in biology class. But that's
Bob, let's go to a clip right now if we can.
Here, I want to start with this. You and I talked. We talked that first. I think it was a night or two after the election.
Yes.
People in the streets.
Yes.
We've talked since then. There's two arguments to be made about what's happened. One is that the resistance really has achieved more than people thought it possibly could have when you go back 10 months.
Right.
And the other is that people are still punching themselves out in the same way they were during the election. Which of those do you think is more accurate?
Oh, the first is more accurate. You mean the punching out? You mean between the Bernie people and the Hillary people?
No, I mean that there's people who still say the base is still with them, and you're making all these arguments you tried to make in the election and it didn't work, and they like the fact that he is who he is. Blah blah.
Trump.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think the base is probably still with him. I think that's true, and we have a lot of work ahead to remove him, because the Republicans in Congress have already polled their gerrymandered districts. They already know, they think they have a pretty good chance of coming back next year, regardless of what Trump does.
They really do, yeah.
Yeah, so impeachment is not around the corner here. People are hoping that Bob Mueller can somehow indict him, but there's a lot of constitutional questions about that. And he can indict him after he's a civilian, after Trump's a civilian, then we can indict him. And then I think our only question is going to be, do we try him as an adult? That will be the only thing yet to be determined.
But in terms of when you look at these big fights, when you look at the fight over the Muslim ban, held up in the courts, going to be appearing for the Supreme Court, the ACA repeal fight. Right. My read on the situation is the activists and the organizers and the politicians and the legal, the ACLU and folks like that have provided a friction against him that has been stronger than I thought it would have been. Yes,
and that is in part because our opponent is not well. So we've taken advantage of that. We feel bad as liberals because you want to be nice to people who are not well, but you can't let someone behind the wheel of the car, if they're intoxicated, and you have to pull them out. And so what we've done is we've obstructed him, and we continue to do that. All the legal groups are going to continue to take him and his people to court. The resistance will be in the streets. They'll be at town halls. We are recruiting people in congressional districts and state assembly and state senate districts for next year. People are going to win.
This year, I should note, this year, the state, there's a challenger, I think, in every state delegate district in Virginia, which has this year, which I think is the first time they've done that in a while.
And we, the people, are not leaving it up to the Democratic Party, God bless them, to actually come up with a stellar list of candidates, because a lot of the poobahs of the Democratic Party believe that they should be running more moderate or more conservative candidates, and that is the wrong way to go, and that is exactly how we'll lose.
Well, I want to put a pin in that. I want to return to that, but I want to ask you about Chuck and Nancy, as the president calls them.
Yeah, Chuck and Nancy.
Now, they're having these dinners. They're coming down.
I had them over for dinner last week, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah. They actually have never paid for a meal. They just
Did you sign a deal with them too? Did you?
I signed. They're going to ghostwrite for me on my new TV series.
Do you actually just have dinner with Chuck and Nancy?
No. I have had.
That would have been plausible.
I have been in the room and I've watched them eat. Does that count?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right.
You watch this. The last week or two, that there was the debt ceiling deal, and now there's this talk of this possible DACA deal. What's your read?
Okay,
on that? What's your reaction?
First of all, I of course believe Pelosi and Schumer that Trump told them that he would, not hurt these DACA kids, and they didn't. We're not going to build the wall. Of course, he said that, and I'm sure he said something different 20 minutes later. Again, not well. All right, so
is that your? I want to be serious for a second.
Yeah.
Is that your genuine read on him?
That's part
because people talk about this, and I personally shy away from sort of remote diagnosis.
Yeah, not me though.
No, I know that. I'm making sure to be clear about the attribution here.
Yes, you are not qualified though, Chris, to do that.
Well,
and I am.
That's my question. I mean, do you actually? That's your read on this? Is that? You mean that not in a jokey way?
I don't mean that in a jokey way. I mean, that's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that in my show every night, one of the first things I ask the audience to do is repeat after me: Donald Trump outsmarted us all. And then there's a little throw up in everyone's mouth at that moment.
That's a good bit.
And
that is a good bit.
Well, because you know he did figure out how to convince 8 million Obama voters to vote for him, the majority of white women to vote for him. He figured out, get this, where the state of Wisconsin is, and go there. All right. So he wasn't so I do think that there's this kind of mad evil genius, cunning. There's clever.
Hold that thought, because you just mentioned the show. I was walking in the neighborhood the other day. I saw that you had the show, but I saw the marquee and I was overwhelmed with envy.
Envy.
Yes. You have a show on Broadway. Stick around. Can we talk about that after the break?
You were on NBC, dude.
Stick around. We're going to talk about that after the break. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.